This is a fantastic episode. Cesar and I sit down and talk about some good business practices that you should have. And I feel like anyone can take away some lessons from this episode. You'll hear some of the things that he does in his agency to make sure that his clients are happy. Some of the things we do to just be straightforward. You'll hear how we have our own internal frameworks that helps us make decisions. And I'm telling you, you're going to learn something from this episode. And as a quick note from our sponsor, Jobber, we have been using their software in our business now for the last 4 years. And we use them to schedule customers, for employees to clock in and out, to send invoices, to send appointment reminders, to automate some reminders. And we basically are in their software on our mobile device or on our laptop day in and day out. If you want to get a free 14-day trial plus a special discount, you can click the link down in the show notes, or if you're watching this on YouTube, you can click it in the description box down below. Other than that, let's go ahead and get started with this episode. Welcome back to the Detailing Business Class podcast, where you'll learn proven tactics and strategies on sales, marketing, and operations to grow your business. I'm your host, Oscar Gill, and my goal is to elevate you as a detailer and business owner to the next level. All right, and welcome back to another episode. I have over here my good friend and longtime brother, Cesar from Symphony Advertising. I try to mention this on every episode, but sometimes I forget just because I try to mention it on every episode that Cesar is my brother and he leases right next door to me. And he has an agency where he does primarily Google/Facebook ads and he makes websites. Just because I would want to make that clear. That way there's no like conflict of interest of like I'm trying to hide something. So anyways, yes, because some people have emailed me saying, hey, do you know Cesar? And I'm like, that's my brother. And then and then he asked like, do you know if he's good? It's like, well, he's my brother. Like I want to disclose that. That way there's no like, you know, it's just kind of like it's a little unfair.
I get the reverse, to be honest.
Yeah, oh, okay.
Do you know Oscar?
Oh, yeah. No, but I just want to make that way there's no like
I've heard of him.
That way it doesn't sound like I'm not adding that to get the sell for, you know, like I want to make sure that there's that's my brother, you know, like he's Cesar, it's my brother. So I try to mention it on every episode, that way people know like he's my brother. So anyways, so all right, let's go ahead and get started with this episode. So kick things off for you, Cesar, if you want to talk about maybe how important it is to know your prices or know what you do offer or don't offer.
Yeah. So it's great question, because one thing that when I go through a website process, I spoke to a company that they've been around for like 20 years. They build fire installations in California. They go, make fireplaces, fire chimneys, all that. We had a meeting to talk about the navigation menu, the home, the about, the services thing that they offer. And they ended up getting in a shouting match, not like aggressively, but they didn't know like, well, what do we offer? What about the custom stuff? So what do we want to put there? Do we want to offer that? What brands do we want to carry? We don't want to show that brand. We do want to show that brand. And best practices is your whole team knows what you sell.
Yeah.
Just in general, because what happens when one person calls, they say one thing, and then another person calls, they say one thing, or, even worse, if they go to the field and not everybody's on the same page, it's like, well, maybe we aren't the best at what we do because your team doesn't even know what you do. So that was very interesting. Knowing even just your services, because again, when you go, and this happens a lot now I think about it, when we start a web design project, here are 18 services we offer. 2, 3, 4 months go by. Hey, can you remove that? Actually, delete that one. We don't want to do that. Hey, can you stop mentioning? And so I think knowing, and it's a work in progress, right? Like you're never going to always know like what you offer, what you don't offer. You do have to go through the steps of getting feedback from the customer. But the sooner you can figure that out, the better service you can provide, because then, as we've spoken before, like you have that clear picture of like, this is what we do. If you run your business like thinking like, oh my God, like the guy, there's a guy that, we're helping. He's like, I was like, so what do you guys offer? He's like, we do everything. I was like, okay. And where do you guys service? He's like, anywhere. I was like, so you do anything, anywhere, at any price. Yeah. All right. Well, the world is yours, sir. Just go get them, I guess. Yeah. So like having that, it's good business practices, and it's just good business like sense.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's not even like we say like here's some good business practices, but it's like this is like just the most fundamental things that everyone needs to know.
It's almost like you can't even teach that though. I don't even know, like, if you heard that, if you read it in a book, like, you gotta know, like, you gotta figure it out.
So and that's very true, and that's a good point. And it's maybe it's not so important when you're just like a solo operator, because that's pretty straightforward. Like you have everything in your head and you can kind of do everything. But even if it's like one other person that you have, it's very important that everyone knows, and even more so important when you actually hire someone, that everyone is on the same page with like what services they offer. Just because like if you have a customer interaction and like, oh hey, by the way, I saw on your website that you do the service, and they're like, oh
Yeah.
I don't know, right? And it's not that they have to understand the full process or know how to quote it right there on the spot, but at least they have to know enough to be like, oh yeah, we certainly do that service. Are you interested? Get some basic information and say, hey, like, I can't quote that, but I'll send this information back to HQ, and they can give you a quote. Even that in itself is way better than like the confusion of like, I don't know. And it's kind of crazy how like you said they've been in business for like 20 years.
20 plus years.
And it's crazy how like until there's like a direct question like, so what services do we offer? Everyone's like,
what services would you like on the site?
Yeah. And it's like until that point, it's like they were just like,
there was 4 people on a Zoom and then people in the back, and they were like,
so it's a big company.
Do you want to offer? I think it's still family owned, but they have like trucks and
like how many, like
team,
at least like 10 employees.
I don't know. I know I vastly undercharged for the website, but nah, it's because that was like the main team, it wasn't like the field workers or anything. So yeah.
It was they're growing though. Like they have employees and such.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
All right. So that one's definitely good. That knowing the services. And then to match that, it's knowing the pricing. You want to touch on that, and then I'll piggyback off you.
Yes. So it's a very common question I get during the web design process, because even when people know their pricing, it's not like set in stone sometimes. So, and I think I got this from how you did your site, is like you offer a range. You say, hey, we'll do it from, X amount to X amount. That way people have an idea, because there's also the version of where you put that you don't put a price or you put the exact price. Mm-hmm. And it gets kind of hard to like, you kind of shun people out, or you put a wall up that doesn't let you interact or sell, right? Like, okay, why should I pay you X amount? Yeah. You never get to that step, because if you can give the why you charge what you charge. I had a person ask me why we charge so low one day. I was like, that's a first.
Yeah.
But I've also had people charge, well, why is it that much? Like, what are you even doing?
Yeah.
So if you have it, if you have the right, if you know why you price what you price on a site, you could sell on the site. Like you could say,
right, like,
it's this range. Here's why. Here's what it comes with. Give us a call for more information.
Yeah.
Versus when you have, this is the service, this is the price. Like there's nothing there.
Yeah.
It's a much harder sell.
Yeah, and to my note on that one, it's like for any service-based businesses, right? Like detailers or HVAC, whatever. It's like we do this so many times in and out that like, and I remember years ago, it's like on the old forums that everyone used to be on, like Auto Geek forums, where I think the theme was like, hey, if you're gonna quote someone, like see it in person, like go and like either they come to you or you go to them, and it was one instance where I drove to that person, because that's when I was still following that advice. I was like, okay, you gotta see it in person. So I drove like 45 minutes and this is like 2013 or something. I drove to this person's house or apartment, and I quoted them, and they're like, can I think about it? I was like, okay, like this is great. I just drove almost like 2 hours or so, or like an hour and 45 to just like give a quote. And it was after that instance I was like, I'm not doing quotes in person anymore. Like, and then now even more so, you can look back in 2020 hindsight and be like, yeah, like after you do X amount of vehicles, it's like you have a pretty good understanding of what the price is. That's why we give always a price range. Like if someone says, hey, I have a Toyota Tacoma and I want a interior cleaning and some whatever correction and coating, it's okay, for that the price range will be whatever for that vehicle. And we leave that price range there. That way it's like, hey, once you get, like, if you're okay with the range, right, might be low, like if it's, call it 800 to 1400, and you're okay with that, okay, it's cool. Then like we're gonna continue. Now when you bring it in, I will confirm the actual price, and if you agree to that price, and I put it on the higher end, you're okay with the price with that range, And that's like, yeah, like the last time we went out to do a quote was for I think like a year and a half ago for for correction on like 3 vehicles, and it wasn't that far. But even with that one, we didn't book that customer in anyways, and it was just like I'm not doing the pricing. Like after so many times you do it, you should have a good understanding of what the price range should be. And even when we talk to customers, Lex would be like, hey, like it might range between 220 to 280. But if it is dirtier, if it does require more work, if it requires whatever, the price can go up. And again, like we're very like clear, and same thing on our website where it says like, hey, like here's the price range. Call it, 600 to 900, and then on the bottom it was like pricing. It varies by size, condition of vehicle. That way we always have a cushion there. But for us, yeah, like we're always giving prices, like over the phone, like hardly ever. And when I say pricing, is like that's still just a quote. Like actual final number is given once we actually see the vehicle, depending on the service and such. But like for like a premium wash, a wash and wax, engine cleaning, headlight restoration, those are basically sticky prices, meaning we can easily give them one price. But for the price range ones, it's like we'll give a price range and then we'll confirm the day of. And I was talking to this other individual out in Nashville, and that kind of confirmed with me too. I was like, yeah, I do the exact same things. Of one individual has a junk removal business, and I think he has like 17 employees across like 6 different, I don't know, a few different states. I should have asked. But he was saying like, yeah, like at this point I've done it so many times. Like I don't need photos. Just tell me what it is, and like I know what that is. Like he's like, if you tell me like is it a queen size or a king size bed, like, I know what that is. I don't need a photo of it. If you tell me it's a dresser, I know what a dresser is. Like I can pretty accurately give you a quote over with just telling me what it is. So I think that's one thing that gives you more flexibility. That way you don't have to like drive to the customer's location or like, oh no, I have to see it. It's like, bro, you can give a pretty good price range over the phone.
And on that note, for best practices, like you mentioned, you're basically saying it can be more, so expect more, but it can be less, so expect less. So in that same vein, there should be like, what do you do if you over deliver under? You know what I mean, like you overcharge or undercharge?
Oh yeah.
Or just to kind of segue that way, is like, what do you do if you get into it and it turns out you can't fix the problem?
Yeah.
How do you back out?
Yeah.
Do you take the client's money? Do you give it back? Do
Yeah.
you get partial? So
yeah, that's a good. Let me add to that too. Yeah, because I remember like anytime we've ever been stuck in a pickle, right? Where it's like, oh, like maybe, yeah, we get there and we're like, bro, we can't do much with this. Like this paint is like gone, or it needs to be like wet sanded, or the interior is like, bro, it's so beat up and like old, and like we're not gonna get results. Either the easiest way to get out of those things is like we either don't charge them, or we like, hey, it was gonna be like $280 for the interior. It's gonna be $80 now, just because we're gonna vacuum it, do whatever. Like that's the easiest way we've gotten out of things. But I think like a good way that we kind of point how we make our decisions is based on like how to create a hassle-free experience. That's literally it. Like that in itself helps us decide what we're gonna do. Because if we get to a vehicle where it is it's hassle-free experience, and then what's fair is fair. So if we get there and we charge $220, $280, and then we get there, we're like, bruh, like this is way beyond $280. We're gonna tell the customer, hey, like per what we talked about, it's gonna be $220, $280, but this is like way more crazy. It's gonna be $340 now. Like I totally get it. Or but we'll talk to the customer and say, hey, we $340, we can do everything, but we can do $280, but we're gonna be a bit more whatever. So we're very like communicative on that. And on the same note, yeah, it's like if it's not that bad, like $220, $280, or whatever the price is, and we get there, and we're like, that took no time actually. That was actually that flew by. Yeah. Just charge lower. There's no specific amount, but it's like that wasn't that wasn't 400. That 310, 320 is probably more fair for that. So yeah, it's a hassle-free experience, and then fair is fair. If we're gonna charge lower when it needs to be charged lower, we're gonna charge higher when it needs to be charged higher. But a lot of times it doesn't happen that way. It happens more so of like we need to charge less than we need to charge more. Because there are just times where we're gonna price it, and maybe because like it's a type of vehicle, maybe because like we've kind of heard this kind of scenario a few times, that we're like, oh, it's probably gonna be bad, so like charge a little more. And then we get there and it's like, oh, okay, it actually wasn't as bad as what we actually charged. So yeah, we can lower the price a little bit just to be fair.
Want to hear one of my personal business practices.
Mm-hmm.
So I personally just kind of how it's worked out, that we, Symphony Advertising, price slightly under what it's worth for the mere fact that it makes it easier to over deliver than to ever under deliver. So like what I tell my big team, a couple people, is we never want to owe the customer anything. Like if they pay us X amount, they need to always have more than what they charge us. And that's our little framework that we live in. Like, okay, like, yes, we understand we're giving a $1,000 service for less amount, but it's built in because if it goes bad, if it doesn't work that great, if it's a downtime for marketing or whatever, it's like there's a margin for error.
Yeah.
And so that's our own little
Yeah.
process that I've built in, just because I like being in that scenario where like, well, what can you do? Like, this is a good price, it's a good service. When it works, and it's not always going to work, but
yeah, no, but I think the more important part about that is like it's important to have your own little like your own how do you call that?
eject button.
No, but your own framework of how you look at things, right? Like for instance, like the hassle free for you, it's I don't know if you have a coin term for that, but it's like it's basically like underpriced, over deliver, something. I don't know, but it's important because like it's when those situations occur where it's like it didn't go as planned. It's like, oh, what's the decision here? You have like a framework to look at it, be like, okay, based off how we operate, how do I navigate this?
And tied into that, in such ways, is how you have a competitive advantage. So like in our scenario, our competitive advantage is they were paying this much more and getting way less. They pay better here and get way more.
Yeah.
And so like having that stuff laid out, like whether in your head or, everyone's on the same page, like then you start understanding like, oh, okay, it's not just internally.
Yeah.
It's also how the world sees us.
Right, yeah.
And so
yeah, that's a good point too, because if a customer calls and they're like, hey, by the way, like what if you're not able, if they ask you something like, hey, yeah, so if you're not able to get the results, like what do you do? Are you still going to charge me the same amount? And if you don't have that some internal framework of how you operate, you might just be like, oh yeah, or maybe if you still say like, oh no, like we might not charge you if it doesn't, but you don't say it confidently as if there's a system, as if there's like
you haven't been through it.
Yeah, like if there's not intent behind it. Whereas if you have your framework and you know what to do, you say, oh yeah, so if we work in it and we're not happy with the results, we'll charge you whatever much or it'll be free. But if it doesn't turn out as well, we definitely won't charge you the full price. Like there's an intent behind it, there's a framework behind it. You're not just kind of like wishy-washy, and that gives you even more certainty to the customer, saying, okay, like they just know what they're doing. There's confidence behind them. There's a system behind them. They know what's actually happening. Do you want to add anything else to that?
No, but that word certainty is like one I've been using a lot more. Like we just want to give our customers certainty that if they hire us, we will deliver on what we say we will deliver. And we try to get away as far away from uncertainty. I got this from Jordan Belfort, by the way. Like the actual Jordan. He has like this certainty frame. So like all we're doing in the sales process is creating the most certainty. This is what you get. This is how it works. Here's the journey. Here's how we report. And if we move towards the uncertainty, A, we don't get to sell, or B, if they are actually a customer, then it's like we're gonna lose them.
Yeah,
we're gonna lose them.
Yeah, and that's a good one, because certainty for us would look, and if you look at it through that lens of certainty, that's like the entire process that we do with our business of like when we book a customer in, we immediately send them a appointment confirmation saying, hey, you've been booked in for Friday the 19th at 9 a.m. It's like, okay, they got me in the system. Like they know I'm coming. And when before we hang up, we're like, hey, by the way, like we're gonna send an automated email reminder 3 days before the appointment, and then an automated text message reminder 2 days before.
That's
the appointment.
pretty professional.
Yes, like so. Just click the link to confirm, and then we'll be good to go. That way, it's like so and if the service is like 2 days from now, it's like it's not a big deal. But if it's like a week from now, a week and a half from now, 3 weeks from now, it's like they just might have forgotten. Like they just need a reminder somewhere. So it's like it really helps them as well. Of like, oh dang, yeah, I forgot I had an appointment for whatever. But again, it's like, and even sometimes because I've had this problem of like I booked something out like 2 weeks in advance. I'm like, so like I didn't receive any communication. Like, am I still on for 2 weeks? Like 2 weeks have passed, and I'm like, so am I? Like, did they know? I'm gonna call to confirm that they still know that I'm coming on Friday, whatever, because like they haven't told me anything, you know. So by having the extra communication, it's like, okay, yeah, they still are coming. And then when it's the day of the appointment, it's we're gonna send them a text saying, hey, we're 20 minutes out, we're on our way, and it just like some people might be like, oh, that's too much. It's like, bro, like I've had comments on YouTube. It's like that's too much communication. Like I would not hire you. If you're gonna send me all those communications, it's like, bro, you wouldn't hire me anyways. You know what I'm saying? Like, shut up, dude. Like, you know, that's the person that just talks that is not gonna pay no $200, $400, $900, $1,800 for detail. Like, bro, shut up.
Sorry for being on top of
but exactly. It's like for the customer though. It's like even it like because my thing is like we need to be the easiest to do task that's completed, right? So all I want the customer to do, like their biggest thing on how they interact with us should be like this. Like if they grab their phone, for people just listening, I'm on my phone, they should just grab it and be like, confirm. Okay, they're coming. That's it. That's the extent of what they should do all the way up until we leave. Like that's literally it. It shouldn't be like, oh, so what's they're gonna be. Oh, so what do we do? So am I supposed to call someone? They should just the easiest. Like they're doing that. They're getting their kids ready for school. They're getting their pitch meeting ready for work, and it's like, okay, what? Okay, cool, they're coming. Boom, that's it. That is as far of a reaction that customer needs to have with dealing with us for the entire process. Obviously, sometimes that's not going to work out, whether we're late, whether we run into some issues with whatever we're doing. But then that's when you go into the framework of, so how do we create a hassle-free experience here? What decision can we make here that even though it didn't go as planned, we can still make this up for the customer, and they can still have the same reaction of like, oh, okay, that's fine, cool. Like, you know, like, still give them the option, still give them the best path of success for them.
And you actually get the better review or experience.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
When it goes down, like experience goes down for whatever reason, whether it's the company's fault, the client's fault, whatever, and then you fix it or you resolve it, it turns into like, they probably become a bigger fan in that manner.
Yeah,
if it's straight up and nothing happens, like
it's almost like if it's always consistent. Like if you're always consistently good, it's like, okay, but if you for some reason if you have that dip and then you resolve it, it's like, whoa, like
so they couldn't fix it, but then they offered this and they charged me less. and it was fantastic. I think it's because they know like you're not just trying to take their money. You know what I mean? It's 100%. Like you care about the service and about their experience and how they perceive it. So that low times are good opportunities to
those are like the best times to capitalize on it. Because I remember like a few times, this doesn't happen often, but something that we have redos. So when that happens, we try to get the redo in. So a redo might be like as simple as, let's say, for instance, the most recent one is we did a wash and wax on the vehicle, and then there was like a little smear on the paint, like a little smudge, like no big deal, a little smudge. Now, you know, we can't tell the customer like, just wipe it off. Like, you know, that's just not right, right? Again, going back to the hassle-free thing, like that's, you know, we're not gonna make the customer do something that we should have like looked out for. So as soon as he texts us, we're like, okay, like we had a small opening in the morning the next day, so we're like, hey, I could be there tomorrow at 9 a.m. to take care of it. Just boom, like as soon as there's like okay, tomorrow, or as soon as we can, try to get to it. And like on that one, the customer's like, oh, sorry, like I'm not gonna be here tomorrow. Maybe I think like Saturday or Monday, but it was on us that we were like. Immediately he said something, we try to get him like so now it's like if he can't do Saturday, it has to wait till Monday. It's like we try to get you on Friday. We try to get you less than 24 hours later. We try to be right at your doorstep to fix the issue. Or another example is when but with that example, I think I talk too fast sometimes. I talk too fast. Huh?
We're hyped, you know.
I get too much stuck in my words. I hate that. I try to slow it down and start talking. So with that one, what happens is the customer ended up like on Monday, we were like, hey, like, you know, is today good? Because we were trying to confirm with him like 1 p.m. And he was like, hey, it looks like it went away. And that's it. And then he scheduled 3 months later for other vehicle. But, you know, like like just
if you had not responded or
like try to
some
finesse it out of the way.
Yeah. It'd been like, screw these guys.
Yeah. So we try to take initiative. It's like, okay, we'll go take care of it right now. He's like, no, don't worry about it. It kind of went away. So can I schedule it in for 3 months from now? The other one is where we did an interior cleaning and we in the center console in the glove compartment, we missed. We did everything. She was very happy with it, but we didn't remove like this piece of paper and there's like a lot of crumbs in there. So same thing. I think that was probably no, that was the next day as well, where they emailed us, and like at 10 a.m. the next day, we were out there. Took literally 2 minutes to get the vacuum out, the cordless vacuum, and vacuum that up, wipe it down, and that's it. Like it. So it's like taking that initiative to like control that situation right there that way, and it really does like, oh man, thanks. Like
this is a bad phrase for it, but I say it a lot. It's like you want to piss excellence, from Will Ferrell, Talladega Nights. He says that in there.
Yeah, from
but like even though it's a joke, like that's
PSC excellence.
That's literally like you don't have any chinks in your armor, whatever it's called, chinks in your armor. It's like, okay, we have errors, we have solutions, we have general solutions, we have client communications, and it's like, okay, where do you fall? What's gonna bring you down? It's like, well, the harder it is, like obviously the better your business is gonna be because you're almost, you're well rounded.
Yeah, like because even in the downfalls, you have a solution there. It's like, oh, like there's no.
Like, when's the last real L you took? With the business.
Yeah, hard out. Yeah, that's like legit. Just like because even with the customer, where like he had a cracked vertical B panel on the exterior that I forget what it's called, but even with that one, like we didn't break it. We have footage seeing that we didn't break it, but we still purchased that thing for him just because again, it's one of those like find the error. You know what I'm saying? Like hey, we had the footage. Like I could confirm visually, like it is not broken when it left our shop.
But you're not gonna be like, it's your fault, client.
Yeah, but it's like, hey, I know it sucks. You just purchased a vehicle, you know, like, and it's a common problem on those vehicles for the thing to break vertically, like for that crack to be right there on the passenger side, like it's a common thing. But we were like, hey, so it's okay. It's like $40. Like we purchased free. It's already on your way to your house. Like it was literally like that. Like hey, we send it over to you. They're like, whoa, like thanks, guy. And he sent like a long message to Lex, like, hey, thanks so much for like taking responsibility. Like this is amazing. Like I've never had this level of care for me and my vehicle.
I got a call back. Do you have time?
Huh? Yeah.
Okay.
Hit it.
So remember when I worked at Smart Drinks?
Damn.
Free advertising. It was a smoothie shop, and there was this like, I want to refer to him as a crazy owner guy, and he had all these sayings. And one saying, even though he might have been absolute lunatic, he would say, "Just take the blame." And I've always remembered that. Like, that's not your fault that it broke, right? Mm-hmm. The thing.
Yeah.
Just take the blame.
Yeah. Right.
Fine, it's my fault. I'll fix it. Just live your life like that, and you can't lose.
Yeah.
Like, oh, like anything happens, it's my fault. What can I do to fix it? Obviously, there's
right. There's a range.
Reasonable. There's a reasonable.
Here.
You're not gonna move mountains.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
If you take the blame, like a lot of the time, like you're gonna come up on the right side of things.
Yeah, and I wouldn't necessarily blame, but like ownership of it, right? Like of saying like
it's a better
with the B pillar of like it's like hey, no, I know it sucks, like and that's why I told Lex that that's what we told him was like
in that scenario. Do you acknowledge that hey, we didn't get it like that, or do you just say?
No, 100%. No, yeah. We told the customer, hey, like we checked the videos and it's actually not broken.
Okay, yeah.
But
I would say that's the right.
But we always leave off with the solution. There's never like so even when it comes to rescheduling a customer or whatever, it's like you don't just give them the bad news or you don't just state like a fact or something, but you give the solution. So on this one, we were like, hey, we checked the footage. It's actually not broken, but we already went ahead and ordered or. We didn't break it, but we can still order it for you if you like. Just because we like, I forget. I'm going off of my head here. But like even when we're like running behind on schedule and we can't get to like a maintenance customer, and maintenance customers they're usually like pretty chill. It's like it's today or tomorrow, like it's just a maintenance, right? But even when we can't get to the customer, we'll tell them like, hey, sorry, I don't think we'll be able to get to you today, which is bad news, right? But we have tomorrow at 9 a.m. or Tuesday at 10 a.m. Do either of those work? Like always end off with a solution. That way they don't just realize, oh, okay, they can't get to me. It's like, okay, but then what? Like, what's the next solution to that point of a problem? You know, that's why it's like, again, like our framework is like hassle-free experience. Like I get it. Like we messed up on we couldn't get to you, but boom, two other options. Do either of those work? And if not, let me know and we'll try to accommodate you.
So I'm going to dig like to the root of what you were just saying. And it's like, be honest and don't lie. Because there is a lot, what I've noticed, here's something I noticed a lot working with.
This is wisdom right here.
Working with.
This is insight.
With small businesses.
Here we go.
Some people can't tell the truth. I don't think they're liars. They just can't tell the truth. And I'm not sure what the difference is. But they won't just straight up say like, we can't make it today. We need to reschedule. They can't say like, we don't offer these services. They don't say, hey, we're not available these days. Here are some other solutions. Instead, they say, hey, my mom's sick. I got to take her to the hospital. I can't be there. Or like just, sometimes they don't have like their logo or whatever, and they can't ask for it for whatever reason. They're like, they don't have I guess the relationship ended bad, so they have to say something crazy like, just tell me it doesn't. You don't have it.
Oh, right.
We can rebuild it for you. They'll say something crazy like, "Oh yeah, it's usually some kind of like hospitalization is usually what it would get. Yeah, like, oh sorry, my mom is or the person that has it, their mom is in the hospital, so I can't reach them.
Oh, right.
And I'm just like, that's just way more work.
Yeah.
And what I've noticed too, to top it off, is like when you put all those when you stack lies, it's really hard to just function.
Yeah.
You have to remember last time I spoke to them, I said I have this, but now I don't. And I can't live like that.
Yeah. So and that's an excellent point of kind of it ties into to what it's just not. Well, I guess it is business related because like when you go to the cashier and like in any situation, you might go to the cashier and you ask them, you go to Target and you're asking for something is out of stock, and they're like, "Oh, so sorry, it's because we're supposed to order the thing, but then," and it's like, and not that that's bad, but it's like you don't need to explain to me. You can just tell me
you're out.
Yeah, and I get it. And there's times where you want to explain like 100%, or like when someone emails me, like for Dita Groove, like anyone, right? And I ask them a question. And they're like, "Hey, sorry, I was at a family's function and I was just like, spending some time with them. Sorry, I couldn't get back to you quicker." It's like, bro, you don't need to explain to me nothing. So, but that's on that same note of yours as well. It's like when someone asks me something, and they're like, "Hey, Oscar, like, I don't know, like, do you know how to whatever?" I honestly can't think of an example right now, but it's like I actually have never done that. That way, but to your point, like if you're just honest, you're like, okay, cool, like. Got it, understand it, and then you work around the actual like capabilities that you have.
Because you're just gonna open a door that you don't want to go through. Oh, I mean, I kind of know it. Oh, so what would you do in this scenario? Oh, well, if it were me, this is what I would do. And then you're just gonna maybe you can come up with some good ideas. But you're like, it's a soft lie.
And
it's
like
a theory.
And like to your point, when like maybe if you ask someone like, "Hey, so do you know anything about Google Ads?" And they're like, "Well, yeah, kind of. So I kind of know a little." It's like, bro, just say you don't. And that we can move forward with that, man, because it's so much easier.
Those are the best, though.
To just operate.
So the keywords and the impressions. I'm like, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
The Google Search Console, I'm like, those things aren't even related.
Exactly. Yeah. So same thing. So that's what I found of like, it's just so much easier to just say, look, I don't know. Because like one, it's like, it's just truthful. Like I don't know. But two, like it just it removes the pressure from you of thinking like, oh, I'm supposed to know all this, right? It's like, okay, if you don't know Google Ads, that cool. Like, I'm gonna lay it all out for you, buddy. I'm gonna break it all down. But trying to have this like, so if I go anywhere, even a restaurant, right? And people are like, "Hey, have you ever ordered this kind of food?" And some people are like, well, yeah, I kind of, and then it's like, okay, so like the menu, what the hell am I looking at? What is this? Whereas if you're like, "Hey, I have no idea what's on this menu. Can you kind of break down what this is?" It's like, okay, great. Like they'll be happy to help you. They'll break it down.
That's so true. So I think that it takes a certain level of confidence to get there, I think. Like to be able to say, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I can figure it out. It takes a certain amount of, because you're basically telling the world, like, I don't know.
Yeah,
like, you're stupid or something.
But my bad.
But it's okay to be stupid.
Because you can still have confidence in not knowing. There's a difference. There's a difference in between having the confidence to say you don't know and being insecure saying I don't know. There's a big difference because like if especially when like I remember once, and this is like the prime example that like put it concrete in my head of like, okay, I shouldn't lie about things because I forget who it was, what it was, but I remember I was so like brutally honest of like I have no idea what that is, and they're like, okay, cool, because I was just lying about that, but I forget it wasn't like a job, but it's like you wouldn't want to lie to that person because it like
it was a trap.
Not a trap, but they're just like kind of testing you. I forgot what, but from that moment, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, I shouldn't, because I would have known what the heck he was talking about. But in a lot of cases, like people kind of lie to sound like they know things or they don't want to feel left out. So not a lot of times when anyone says anything, I'm like, I have no idea what that is. Like, what is that? Because it's like I have the confidence to say I don't know.
And you're welcoming the question. So what
exactly,
is it?
Yeah.
And then you learn.
And then also that like you try to put that facade of like, oh, I know. It's like you're lost the entire time anyways in whatever the heck you guys are talking about. So yeah, if anything, anyone says like, have you ever done this or done that? I don't know what that is. What is that? And you translate that to business, and it like for customers and such, like it's just easier if like kind of to your point of like, hey, do you guys offer this service? And you're like, okay, yeah, well, we kind of, it's like, hey, at this time we don't. Maybe in the future I can recommend you to someone. Like, it's just way more. You don't have to like dance around and whatever. Or a hard thing that we do that we battle with is like when someone calls for a service, and it's like, yeah, we do it. We technically do offer it at that area, but it's like we need to get better at like having at setting boundaries as far as like, hey, for us to go out that far, it needs to be like 400, not 200. And it's like, well, the person's kind of nice. They already looked at her, like they said, like, hey, you guys do such a great work. It's like, oh man, but instead, like we need to get better. Like, hey, sorry, like just being more firm and like in our criteria of going out mobile. Because on that zone, we start dancing around like that. Okay, yeah, we do, and it's like, you know, but it
you get away from that certainty that you provide.
Yeah,
you're starting to creep onto like, wait a minute, do we do this?
Yeah,
do we not do this?
And yeah, that's very true. Like we need to be more intentional with how we talk about, like when we're talking to customers like that.
I can give you an example on my side for Symphony where this guy calls. I know it's not a good fit. Red flags everywhere. He does not stop. He's selling me on why he should give us money to do services. I'm like, no. He wants to meet. I'm like, no. He's like outside.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, let's meet. And everything's a red flag. And I should have been firm. I should have said, we offer Google Ads and web design. The guy wanted like help with social media, Yelp pages. He wanted help with his web design that's already somewhere else. I mean, we can do that, but that particular company doesn't provide access. I have to go through another person. He gave me a phone number to call somebody in freaking Honduras or something to get approval for all that stuff. And I'm like, no. But I didn't stick to my guns.
Yeah.
And I accepted it. And now it's just like, it's awful. Like, like the anxiety I have because of saying yes to that is like unwarranted.
Yeah.
I should have not done it.
Yeah, and which is crazy because if you had said, stuck to your guns, you'd be like, hey, sorry, but we just don't offer this. The amount of stress relief that you would have had of like, oh, I just dodged a bullet, you know?
Yeah, it would have been
great. And like if you do, whenever you do like cancel him, you're gonna be like, oh, finally, like dang, you know, like thank goodness he's gone. Like it was such a level of stress that I didn't need at like no one needs like any level of stress like that. But it's like that one specifically, like this was such a bad decision from the get go.
Yeah, and like back to the, you know, what's a good business practices person? It's like the guy doesn't have access to anything. Like he's like, call this guy for that. Work with this guy for that.
Yeah.
He can't, you know, so when you set up a Google profile page, nowadays, if you're not like a digital thing, you have to take a video of like your equipment or your building, a bill, and the street sign, all in 30 seconds. You have to like, you know, you have to do that. And he needs me to drive to where he has his trucks and stuff so that I can approve it for him. And I was like, I'm not going to go.
Yeah.
You would have to pay me 4 times the amount for me to go over there to use your phone.
Yeah.
I had a meeting with him. I was like, this, and he recorded me. He's like, this is how you go. You click here, you go here, you go here. All you have to do is push record and do it.
Yeah.
It has failed twice. He has not been able to do it.
Yeah, and
bless his heart, bless his soul. He's a good person. I'm not saying he's a bad person or anything. It's just like we can only help who we can help.
Yeah,
and this is me trying to be nice and trying to pull somebody up that.
Yeah, and as good intentions that he has, and as you know, let's say everything else is good. It's like
it's way outside of what we normally
brother.
Work
We're here
with.
to just, you know, I this is beyond far of what. And it's almost like a disservice to ourselves. It's like, bro, we got to be spending time with our clients to generate leads and get not.
I'm doing a side quest.
Yeah,
like a side
quest.
Side quest of like, how do I get access to his Yelp account? And like his nephew has it. I'm like, it's your nephew. Like, ask him for the credentials. I don't know.
Yeah. So with that, oh, geez, that sounds so problematic. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you always gotta have one in the.
That's a tough one, right?
In rotation. So.
All right, that's good. Did you want to add anything else? Okay, I think this was a fabulous episode. Thank you for being on here. We'll talk to everyone on the next one. Bye bye.